the fact that the world's leading AI lab decided to pick the translation use case as a standalone offering. It's pretty big. Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Slator Pod. Hello, Esther.
Hi, Florian.
We are back with a quick catch up on the news. At least we managed to do it in January still.
True. Yeah. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. 28 days in. All right, so we're back before January ends, and SlatorCon London's taking shape. We've confirmed some amazing speakers and panelists already. We're quite early here because it's happening on May 22nd, 2026 in London. So do go get a ticket. Really cool. Let me just go through a couple of the people that we recently were able to confirm for it as panelists and speakers. So we have the co-founder and CEO of Gradium AI on a panel. So this is a voice AI company that raised $70 million right out of stealth mode, which is kind of insane. I mean, usually when you come out of stealth, you raise, I don't know, 1 million, 2 million. Now they raised 70 million, Paris-based. So Neil's going to join us. Arkadios from PolyAI. He's the head of agent design and engineering. So PolyAI is an enterprise AI agent for customer service company. So quite heavy there on the AI. But also we have the head of globalization solutions from Netflix, Alison Anders, joining us. And then Ocolet's chief AI product and tech officer, Stefan Cinguino, is going to join us as well. And then a quick heads up, we're also doing a research track with posters in a separate room. Remember when we went to that, when was that? Like 2018? We went to the EMTA. Was it EMTA? No.
I can't remember. EMN. Was there an N in there?
I'm blanking. But it was some, at the time, it was called like NLP. So it was basically the machine translation track. And that you have these...
In Brussels.
It was in Brussels. We went there in person, yes. And so you have researchers, PhDs, standing there with one poster explaining the project they're working on. And so we thought, why don't we do that? So we have a track, I think it's 45 minutes during one of the breaks in a separate room, which I think about 40 to 50 people can be in. Research. So we have people from the University of Rome. We have somebody from the University of St. Andrews, from Dublin City University, and somebody from Meta, research scientist at Meta, who's going to be explaining what they're working on. So very excited. We also have a startup accelerator confirmed already. Anton Dvorkovic, CEO of Dubformer, is going to join that session. That's also happening in a separate room. So basically, get your ticket. This is going to be the biggest SlatorCon yet, because we even rent an additional room so we can do at least we can accommodate at least 250 people. So pretty excited about that. So, but today, let's go through what happened since we last spoke. When was that? That was
just before Christmas.
Just before Christmas, yeah. So
maybe a couple of weeks before Christmas, yeah.
Lots of stuff happening. We must have picked up about 300-400 things in our daily newsletter since then already. So, but yeah, today we want to focus on hiring at DeepL, AI labs, and translation use cases. TAF, translation is a feature. One company putting something out that's quite interesting. Of course, we want to go briefly through the ChatGPT Translate launch, which they did very quietly. And then, you and I are going to talk about a bunch of finance stuff that our listeners will love.
Might tune out for.
As well.
Yeah.
No, they're going to stick around for that. Cool. All right. So where do we start? DeepL?
Yeah. Let's start there.
DeepL keeps hiring. Key XX. They also generally keep hiring. Not as quickly as they used to. They're checked on LinkedIn, so their 2-year growth was 44%, and the 6-month growth is 2%. So, seems like they're
in headcount, right?
In headcount, yes.
Yeah,
headcount.
okay.
Sorry. According to LinkedIn, which whatever that means. But so now they appointed a couple new people to their leadership team. Detlef Krause joins as Chief Revenue Officer, CRO. 25 years of experience, enterprise sales, Microsoft, Salesforce, SAP, ServiceNow. He succeeds DPJ, David Perry Jones, who we very much appreciated having on our panel in London back in 2024. So, good luck with what's next, David. The press release says he's actually retiring. So
Very nice.
Let's follow him up. We're retiring from the tech industry, but these types of people never retire. So, good luck with whatever comes next.
You're a CRO for life.
You're a CRO for life. That's right. Gavin Mee is appointed as Chief Operating Officer, and he has a background with Oracle, Adobe, Palo Alto Networks, UiPath. Yeah, so CEO Jarek Kotlovsky says that these are very strategic hires for their enterprise growth, and that's what it looks like. This is actually following a series of other senior hires, including a chief product officer and CFO. So now seems to have their C-level ducks in a row for an IPO.
Where are they all based? Are they based, do we know this? Because I think they had some senior people in or around London at one point, but then obviously it's more a German company.
Let me look this up. Yeah. Where are they based? I mean, the background suggests almost the US. Let me see. So, Munich. So Detlef Krause, nice. Based in München, Bayern. All right, that's nice. And then Gavin Mee, based in. Oh, now you're going to have to help me here. It says
you got too many Gavin Mees.
No. It's it's London. So Gavin's based in London. All right, we'll be in touch. Cool. So congrats and good luck with DeepL, and please go public. We're looking forward to that S1 filing. Now, these AI labs and Microsoft keep putting out data around the usage of AI for translation. So we published a piece on the most recent edition of Anthropic's Economic Index. And I think we must have gone through this on a previous podcast. So I'm just going to go through very, very briefly. It's also fairly complex. They're using a lot of very abstract concepts, which frankly I haven't wrapped my head around, like, verification, auditing, iterative refinement, and all kinds of other abstract terms about how people use AI. But I guess the most important data point would be that since September, the translation share of Claude usage increased from 0.663 to 0.71%. So a modest increase in translation-related activity, or of the proportion of which probably more people use Claude. So generally a strong increase. Yeah. And then our analyst looked at this and detected that AI's role in translation on Claude, always say on Claude, which is their tool, is stabilizing around a specific pattern, which we, and I'm going to have to read this, said it's going to be, is automation for clearly bounded execution tasks. So actually doing just the kind of raw AI translation, augmentation for review, validation, and meaning level work. So check my translation, maybe give me a bunch of synonyms and things like that. And human-in-the-loop control, where context, judgment, and risk matter. So there, I'm going to just defer to the actual article. Go and check it out. All right, but thanks to Anthropic for putting this out publicly. Very interesting data. And for those who care, you can go and read it. Now, Microsoft also put out a report on Copilot usage. So what do we find from there? So Copilot, we're not using it. We're on Google, but I think a bunch of people use Copilot for translation-related tasks. And they analyzed 37.5 million anonymized Copilot conversations between January and September 2025. And apparently translation and language learning ranked 4th overall. So, I mean, I wish we could have split up translation and language learning. It kind of says a lot about that they're putting them in the same bucket.
It's like, Duolingo.
It's Duolingo.
Language learning. That's it.
Yeah. So, you could have probably taken them, kind of looked at them separately. But
maybe it's because you don't really know the intention of, if you could use the same command for language learning that you would use for translation. Like, translate this for me is kind of like, well, are you translating it because you need to, I don't know, translate it? Or are you trying to learn the language? Because obviously you don't know the language if you're asking them to translate it, I imagine.
Good point.
I mean? Yeah.
But there's so many other language learning
Yeah, means.
I mean,
Tools.
yeah, tools. I mean, there was. Let me look this up because I think we're working on a story, or did we publish it already? What was he called? Preply.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, they raised a $150 million Series D company
Yeah.
called Preply or Preply. Preply probably.
Reply, like reply. I don't know.
Preply. All right. Well, it's got some
Who
naming
knows?
issues. Short name, but hard to know how to pronounce it. So they raised a bunch of money for that. So basically, translation language learning. Go back to Copilot. Translation language learning ranked number 4th behind tech, working career, health, and fitness in Copilot usage topics. And this excludes program languages. Thank you very much. Yeah. So this also, go and check out the original research. All right. So it must have been like 18 months ago when we had this, when we wrote this research report on translation as a feature. That was kind of the
Yeah.
first wave of integrations of language AI into all kinds of products. And now, yeah, there was a big-ish launch with Adobe adding it. I mean, how many times in the past, Esther, have you, in your LSI past, how many times did people ask to translate PDF files?
Oh, many times, yeah. And then we'd ask for, I suppose, either, like the underlying Word file or the InDesign file or whatever kind of source it came from, because tricky. And the worst is, I suppose, sort of like scanned PDFs or scanned whatever. So yes, many, many times.
Now, the scan is still an issue, but we're talking about Adobe launching literally translate this as a feature in their Adobe, I think in Adobe, what's it called? Reader, Adobe Acrobat Reader. So you open it up and you get a feature. Let me just open this up now. Yeah, and it says translate this, all tools. Yeah, translate this PDF is what it's called. And when you click translate this PDF, it opens it up in Adobe Express. So it kind of opens up a new SAS window,
Yeah.
a new SAS tab. And apparently it does 40 plus languages. It can customize the tone, but it's very basic, kind of formal, informal, the usual kind of prompt stuff. But it has
Yeah.
formatting issues, believe it or not. And interestingly, we found that it struggles more with editable PDFs than with scanned PDFs, which is super
In
weird.
terms of language or formatting?
Formatting,
Oh, okay.
because that's always the problem, right? I mean, if it can extract the language properly, I think we're, it's going to be a good AI translation, I guess. But the formatting is tough. All right, but the bigger angle here is that this is another development that is kind of good enough. There's so many of these translation as a feature launches that now I think there's a bit of a tendency, and we've had some conversations with LSIs about that sometimes or more and more end customers would just say, well, we're just going to use AI for this. We're going to skip the LSI. It's good enough. And there's a bit more of an acceptance of suboptimal AI translation now because it's everywhere, right? So people feel a little less guilty using it, even in a professional setting. All right, let's move to something else. The company powering most of this is NVIDIA. So what did they do? Launch another framework-ish model?
Looks like it, yeah. Double down on open speech AI.
Yeah, and they focus on low latency, automatic speech recognition, text to speech. They push for open models and data sets. Of course, it supports real-time multilingual voice use cases. Now, I want to see those real-time multilingual voice use cases. Can somebody show it to me? We've been testing it, and it's just not there yet. So I want to see how all these models are going to get used in actual applications. But the core here really it positions NVIDIA as this kind of enabler of the speech AI ecosystem. NVIDIA is just everywhere. I mean, they fund a bunch of startups, and they open source their models and their frameworks and all of that. Of course, they want to make sure that people stay in the larger NVIDIA kind of ecosystem that in turn drives demand for the chips. So yeah, that's NVIDIA. Now, the big one, ChatGPT Translate. Have you tested it?
Not yet. No, I mean, I'm sure I will, but no, not yet.
It's just very basic. It looks like a, I don't know, 2016 NMT interface. It's literally like translate with ChatGPT and then source on the left and target on the right. And then it has like 4 like prompts below that you may choose to use, like translate this and make it sound more fluent. Or translate this and make it more business formal. Translate this. That's literally the standard prompts that they're showing. Translate this as if you're explaining it to a child.
Oh yeah.
All right. Shall we unpack this? So first of all, translate this and make it sound more fluent. What an odd prompt. Sorry, I'm going to have to dwell on this for a second. Let me just
go on. But you can also do your own prompts. I guess.
Of course.
It's not like you only have 4 presets. You have flexibility to instruct as you wish.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So, but I'm going to have to add a but. Translate this and make it sound more fluent. More fluent than what?
Well, I knew you were going to say that. Than the literal translation, I suppose. But it is odd.
No. That makes no sense. Like, okay, you're prompting the actual translation.
Yeah.
So more fluent than the original? More fluent.
Maybe. No, can't be.
This is not a post-editing prompt. This is a translation prompt. So you have German, and then you copy-paste it in this thing.
Yeah.
And then you make it more fluent than what? Like ChatGPT, like your original translation? Or
isn't it like a 2-part thing? So it's like translate it, that's part 1, and then part 2 is make it more fluent.
Yeah, but what's it comparing to? What's the more fluent? More fluent than what?
Than that interim. Than it would have been if you just said translate it.
Translate it and make it fluent. Or make it sound natural or something, but make it sound more fluent. I'm just having fun because I'm detecting like something that's absolutely not logical on the ChatGPT Translate.
We are splitting hairs as well.
This is not splitting hairs. This is the AI revolution #1 company.
Okay, there's some 4, 3, or however many predefined prompts. You don't have to use the prompts. The prompts themselves or the presets are like prompts to us humans about what you might want to tell ChatGPT about how to translate.
I get it, but I want to split the hair because it makes no sense to say make it sound more fluent. It makes no sense. Or make it more business formal. That also doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. You're prompting the translation. You're not prompting. You're not asking ChatGPT to make an existing translation sound more fluent. Put it in the comments on YouTube. Comment, like, what do you think? I think it makes absolutely no sense for this. It's not logical. It's just a little example prompt. I get it. But, it's on chatgpt.com/translate, and it's probably viewed by, millions of people. So why would your very first template prompt make no sense? But, all right. What does our audience say about ChatGPT Translate? So 45.6% are calling it meh, M-E-H, meh, so not very impressed. 28% are saying it's an interesting launch, and 26% are calling it a huge deal. So I think it's a big deal. I think it's a pretty big deal.
I feel like the meh could be, well, the translation's not great.
ChatGPT translates pretty good, especially on these kind of basic
things. So 45% of people think it's meh that ChatGPT has its own translate tool. It's like whatever.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
I would have expected more. I guess, we've got, what's that, 54 in total % of people thinking it's either interesting or a huge deal. So
correct.
Fine. All right. I can live with that.
So we had some reactions on LinkedIn. So Beerworks marketing head of marketing Rodrigo Demetrio, he said, I think they just vibe coded this interface in a day. So that's
they had
number
some
one.
intern type the presets, obviously, Florian.
Correct. And then from Blackbird, he said that he thinks this is not as core a product, but they launched this as not as a core product, but as the UI layer that resembles kind of Google Translate and DeepL. And he also highlighted how susceptible it was to prompt injection. So interesting post there. And then ServiceNow, Stephen Holmes from ServiceNow, he considers the launch as a reaction to Google's recent acceleration in AI and OpenAI needing to jump on the whole stack story. So the whole stack would be like, in terms of Google, it would be infrastructure. You have Google Cloud, then you have like the model hosting, foundation models, and applications. And then like in applications, you have the Google Translate stack. So yeah, I mean, our take is, I think no matter how basic the UI currently is, I think the fact that the world's leading AI lab decided to pick the translation use case as a standalone offering is pretty big. It just shows just how much demand there is for AI translation.
Yeah, I would tend to agree, and I think it's a way to get more visits. Get more clicks, get more visits, get more time on the platform or on the domain.
They need to make more money, or they need to make money.
Yeah.
Well, they need to make money. I mean, I guess they have all the trillions of the world, but at some point you want to show revenue, and seems to be something. Why else would they have bothered to add this as a standalone, / translate thing? Okay, so let's go to M&A, back to familiar shores, and you have a couple of acquisitions that you want to talk to us about in Italy and the US.
In the US, just a couple that we picked up on that we've covered so far in January. So I think first out of the gates, probably in 2026, was Aglatech 14, an Italy-based LSI, which acquired CentroLingue SRL. So it's acquisition of another Italian LSI. It seems to be sort of on the smaller side because they're talking about sort of assets transferred, part of which is one employee, as well as translation memories, term bases, and a few other things as well. So just to highlight that one, kind of a little first out the gate acquisition in Italy. And then we had something over in the US in a totally different field, which was more in the world of media services coupled with localization services. So this is a company called Cineverse Corp, which announced the acquisition of Giant Worldwide, a media services company specializing in content delivery, mastering, and localization services. The idea here is that Cineverse has a product or a platform, I think, called Matchpoint, and Giant is going to be sort of integrated into Matchpoint with its technical services, the sort of client and studio relationships, with the aim of expanding the AI automated media services of Matchpoint. They described this, I mean, I wasn't familiar with the platform previously. They described Matchpoint sort of as a fully automated supply chain that does digital entertainment delivery, so sort of end-to-end automation of the supply chain around delivery of entertainment. Because Cineverse is listed publicly listed on the NASDAQ there, they, I think, disclosed a little bit about the sort of metrics, or at least the financials of Giant. So they said it's expected that Giant, so the acquired company, will contribute 15 to 17 million in pro forma revenue in fiscal year 2027, and also around 3.5 to 4 million in pro forma EBITDA.
Quite profitable, huh?
Tells you a little bit about this, sort of size of the business, exactly. I mean, I think, it's, and then, looked up Cineverse because it's not something I'm super familiar with. Looks like they have a market cap currently of around 42 million.
Yeah, but like 25-30% EBITDA margin, not bad.
Sure.
All right, now let's move on to funding, which there's been a lot of activity that is not trivial to assess. So we struggled before the podcast to kind of agree on how we're going to be talking about this. But our friends at Synthesia, whose CEO was on the podcast, which feels like
many years ago,
700 many eons, many ages ago, they raised a giant Series E, $200 million at a $4 billion valuation. So, why don't you give us the highlights there, and then we try to unpack this for just a little bit how it matters actually.
Yeah. I mean, I think, you kind of identified the highlight, which is A, the amount raised, and B, the valuation. So $200 million raised at a 4 billion valuation. It's, well, I would say from my standpoint, one of the highlights is that it's sort of a UK and London based company. And I think, it seems like not only the investors, but sort of London and the UK is somewhat embracing them, in the sense that, even within the press release, you've got quotes from several British politicians sort of singing the praises and saying how happy they are to have the likes of Synthesia, in terms of, the scale of the company, and sort of how they're leading in AI. As well. So I think they're trying to make a bit of a splash. And equally, you've got like the Mayor of London kind of commenting on how this is a big deal, as well as the Chancellor of the Exchequer. So that's it's quite interesting and not something you see in a press release sort of every day, at least not the ones we're looking at. I'd say other highlights. I mean, in terms of the investors, you've got the round being led by existing investor Google Ventures. And then, I mean, speaking of NVIDIA being everywhere, you've got N Ventures, which is also another existing investor participating in the round, along with many others. So that's probably the things that I would pick out. What was your take?
Purpose, well, I'm just struggling to position it. I mean, the relevance for the language industry originally, I mean, one of the key angles was of Synthesia, you have avatars and they can be generated in multiple languages. Right now they're saying it's 160, but 160, you get into like the low mid resources language level already. But like, so, okay, you have an avatar, you can avatar yourself based on probably like 2 minutes of video or something like that, and then you can have the avatars. You can AI translate the content, or have some human in the loop, and then produce an avatar that, or you can have a campaign with avatars in like multiple languages. So that's where it's kind of relevant to us. But I don't. I mean, yeah. I mean, they're saying their mission is like to change how companies train and upskill their workforce. I just don't see the grander market. Like, I mean, a $4 billion valuation, a 200 million Series E, that's a lot of money. I don't see it's still a somewhat abstract use case. And the language component is important, but it feels kind of like, okay, it's table stakes for them. It's not like they're not obviously don't see themselves as like a language company. So we're talking about them because originally they popped up on our radar as being very interesting and very language centric in a sense, and now as their vision and the scope that they're trying to address increased, they're kind of moving into all kinds of other areas that are not as language centric as kind of original. Maybe one interesting.
I do think it's foundational though. Sorry, just to push back a little bit. I mean, like, you say the language aspect isn't necessarily front and center, and that it's kind of table stakes. I think yes, that they have to have it, in order to be able to scale, and in order to be able to serve the kinds of sort of enterprise customers that they're hoping to, specifically because these companies have global workforces. And if you came in with a pitch of like, well, I've got this great avatar, but it's only in 5 languages, it wouldn't wash because it would not meet the requirements of the global enterprises and business customers that they're targeting.
All right, you convinced me. Actually, it's correct. We should go on that platform again. Let's try to invite them to a SlatorCon as well. I want to understand a bit more about how essential it is and how it fits. Because you're right. I mean, if you want to have, if their mission is to change how companies train and upskill their workforce, I mean, a lot of companies that are not in tech, have extremely multilingual workforces that, in countries that are not English proficient. So yeah. And one tiny detail was also that they're giving some exit liquidity or some liquidity to like early employees in a secondary sale, and they're basically. If we're an early employee, you can they're working together with Nasdaq to make a private placement and get some of these early employees some cash for their
Nice.
Synthesia shares. Yeah, because I mean, if you joined early, and then I guess like 99% of your net worth is in these illiquid shares. So, congrats to them. Now, a little more obvious, I guess, in terms of what they're doing is DeepGram, who we also had on the pod, and what's happening over there? They also raised some money.
Yeah, they also raised quite a bit of money, slightly less, but still over $100 million. We're talking here. So we've got a Series C from DeepGram in which they raised 130 million US dollars with a valuation of 1.3 billion, which now means total funds raised are $215 million. So yeah, again, a lot of money, big valuation. This time it's a US-based company that specializes in live multilingual speech to text, as well as voice AI, a lot of voice or voice AI we're talking about today. Specifically, so they're enabling real-time speech to text, analytics, as well as AI voice agents across many different languages. They talk quite a lot about the actual specific use cases and I suppose the specific settings and environments in which they're seeing quite strong uptake. So you've got live customer support as well as conferencing, like meeting assistance, where their models are doing, I suppose, the tasks of transcription, understanding, and output in lots of different languages. And then in terms of the settings, they say clinical documentation, patient and member support, trading and research communications, as well as compliance monitoring are kind of key areas for them. And particularly because voice data there is both highly sensitive and highly valuable would be the kind of key points.
Very enterprisey, very high cost of failure areas, you'd say. I mean, I guess, you and I are coming out of this area in our LSI past, right?
Yeah.
I mean, clinical, finance, etc.
High stakes, yeah.
And then, Scott, who was on the podcast, I don't know, I think that was just pre-ChatGPT launch, I remember. I think it was in, when was that, 2022, Q3 or so, Scott Stevenson. We also asked about, like, what about speech-to-speech? And he said that their growing language coverage makes live conversational translation a very natural extension of what they already do. So, maybe if they want to spend some developer time, and some resources from that 130 million Series C, they're going to launch a product in that area. Cool. And let's go back to London and to another giant fundraise that was discussed.
Rumored, yeah.
Rumored,
exactly.
Rumored. You're right.
Yeah, well, so this was coverage that we picked up and circulated via our daily Slator Daily email service, which was something that the Financial Times had covered in mid-January, saying that ElevenLabs is in early discussions to raise funds at a potential valuation of $11 billion. Yeah, again, it's lofty sums that we're talking about here. I think in the article they mentioned that the company reported 330 million in annual recurring revenue, ARR. And yeah, apparently if they did raise at that valuation, they would be the most valuable AI startup in the UK. So
yeah, runner-up would be Synthesia.
Maybe, yeah. No, what is that, sort of double the amount? What was the Synthesia was 4? Yeah.
Yeah.
Nearly triple.
Nearly triple. Well, that's why we're in London, Esther. That's why we're doing SlatorCon London, because it's the hub. It's just the hub. It's the hub for AI in Europe.
And we like to celebrate.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Let's see if that actually is more than a rumor. I want to end on something that's on the very other end of the scale.
Oh, yeah. So we're not talking billions or millions here, are we?
No, we're not. We're talking about 100K.
Okay, so, nice. Every little counts.
Every little counts. So I'm talking about a company called Amplara, who filed an S1 with the US regulator, which typically is kind of a filing for an IPO. But then we're looking at it with, what do you mean 100K? So they're looking to raise 100K from a share sale But basically, it's actually the director just selling shares to whoever wants a piece of this company. So and then I literally asked ChatGPT to explain it to me, and ChatGPT came back and said this is essentially survival capital.
Oh.
To they need to keep operating until they actually find product market fit. So it's not an IPO. It's kind of a self underwritten direct public offering via an S1. So no bank, no book building, no exchange listing at launch or anything like that. So I don't know. Okay, 100K. Let's see where if we come across this company again. So what do they do? All kinds of ideas. I think this is still in the idea phase, right? AI-based multilingual content adaptation, keyword localization tied to SEO keywords, etc. But long story short, I didn't know that you can go and file anything to raise 100K. So it shows you the level of sophistication in the U.S. capital markets. I mean there is a broader point here, Esther, because I think right now in London, they're trying to lower the barriers for IPOs again. What's her name?
London's,
Reeves?
Rachel Reeves, yeah.
Rachel Reeves. I think they're trying to lower the barriers because they're afraid that like there's just no more IPO activity in London because the barriers are relatively high and etc. So they're trying to lower the barrier. I mean, if you lower the barrier all the way to the bottom, that's what's happening here, right? You can go and kind of officially trying to raise 100K via something like this. So that's why the U.S. capital markets are extremely vibrant, and and Europe needs to do something to not to I guess copy it and try to get some of that activity over to Europe or to London as well. Cool. All right. That was a lot of finance. Next time we'll focus a bit more on the language side of things again. So thanks for listening in, and do get your ticket to SlatorCon London. Thank you.